And moving on to the Sacramento 4 portion of the bracket, this one of two rounds in Sacramento. Talking about South Carolina there, the team to be over here. The number 1 seed South Carolina took on the number 16 seed Southern and held them to just 34 points. The final score 103-34 was the score there. So South Carolina moving on. Then right below them, USC against Clemson in probably the best game of the first round. USC very, very closely wins that game, 71-67. Let's set up USC against South Carolina. Usually that would be a really good game. USC versus USC. Southern California usually tends to be pretty good at women's basketball. Not this year. The number 9 seeded Trojans losing 101-61 against the South Carolina Gamecocks. So South Carolina is headed into the Sweet 16. Below them in the bracket, Michigan State barely beat Colorado State in the first round, 65-62. Meanwhile, Oklahoma cruising past Idaho, winning 89-59. And then Oklahoma did beat Michigan State as well, 77-71. So the Sweet 16 game there will be South Carolina against Oklahoma. South Carolina Gamecocks are going to be the heavy favorites to beat out the Sooners. But Oklahoma, they'll have a fighting chance, I think. Down in the bottom half of the bracket, Washington defeating South Dakota State 72-54. Meanwhile, TCU destroys UC San Diego 86-40. Virginia beating Georgia 82-73, and Iowa beating FDU in a very low-scoring game, winning 58-48. That set up a round of 32 games between TCU and Washington and Virginia, Iowa, and both of those games really did deliver. Virginia defeating Iowa 83-75. They become the lowest seed ever, I believe, to reach the Sweet 16, as they are a 10 seed. Never before has a 10 seed reached the Sweet 16 in the women's side of the bracket. It's always been 1 through 9s. So Virginia making history there. They also become the first team ever to make the Sweet 16 after being part of the first 4, because they were among the first 4. Virginia defeated Arizona State 57-55 just to get there. And then they beat the number 2 seeded Iowa 83-75. Meanwhile, on the other side of the bracket, TCU defeating Washington in a very narrow showdown, 62-59. It sets up a TCU Horned Frogs against the Virginia Cavaliers in the Sweet 16.